Sup? All right, there's two main areas we're going to talk about, and that's PvP itself, and then specifically PvP in this game. Sword and Shield games have their own kind of um, rules to follow, similar to fighting games. We'll get into that in a second, but what are we wanting here? We're wanting to go into a match and kill everybody and take everybody's stuff. That's what we're all wanting. We don't want to go around, looting and stuff like that. We want to get the players' loot. We want them to do it all for us. And they have the best loot in the game anyway. Now, you don't need to know the meta. You don't need to know the strongest class. You don't even need to know tips and tricks. What you need to know, what you need is to be a different person completely. You need something that's going to change you forever. That's what you need. You need to hear something that's going to make you a different person. How many times? A lot of times people will watch, a YouTuber, a big streamer, or whatever, playing the class that they play, and then they try to copy it only to not get the same results. Because those two people are so far from each other. You're not a different person yet. Despite knowing a couple of tips and tricks you get from them, it's not enough to get the results that they're going to be getting. And that's what we all want to hear. We want to hear something that's going to change us forever. That being said, let's talk about something a lot of people have a problem with. A lot of people are doing things that are too hard for them. They're hard for them, period. When you're PvPing, you don't want to do that. Now, what is an example of this, right? Lifting a car is hard. Lifting a school bus is hard. Trying to do a Webster side flip when you don't know how to do a side flip or a Webster. Trying to do manual labor, digging post holes all day when you have never done that before. That's what hard is. And a lot of people are doing stuff that's too hard because they don't want to they need to humble themselves. They need to only do with what they have been given the strength to do. They want to go beyond that, though, because they want that thing that they have not earned. They haven't gone through the trials and tribulations to get to be able to have that. And what came before the fall? Pride. That's right. Pride came before the fall. And that's what happens when you do stuff that's hard. You want to do stuff according to the strength that you have. Okay? Now, I get a lot of people, hopefully you can understand what I'm saying here. This directly applies to everything regarding PvP. You don't want to fight people when you're weak, for example. You want to fight people from a position of strength. You can build your character in this game to fight in specific areas on the map that you're stronger in those areas. For example, taking ethereal and then fighting near cliffs and edges and stuff like that, like you saw in my videos. We're not just doing that so that we can one-shot people. We're also doing that so where if we get in any trouble, we can just jump off of there and heal up to full, and we can try again. So we're anchoring ourselves on, invincibility. So when you're fighting someone, you don't want to fight in places that you haven't practiced, in ways that you haven't practiced, in ways that you haven't built your character to do that job. Say you're fighting a Shadow Strix, and they've built their character all around, poking you and running away and, slipping away, always being super slippery. The class is already that way. If you were to now try to follow them around the map, you're playing where you're weak and they are strong. And you don't want to do that. For example, in my videos, you'll see me, I'm always in Verdant Grounds. That's the area of Hollow Grove that I'm at. And that's because I'm running Ethereal, and that's the area where my character has been built to be the strongest in. That's where I'm strongest, in that area. I know the map. I know that part of the map super well. I've built my character to have all kinds of different tricks and tools and variables that I can use to get leverage over a lot of people. Now, you want to play as unfairly as possible. That's the whole point. That's the way you're building your character. Building him in a way, you're getting a better sword so you can have an advantage over someone. Now, I always get people talking about how there's honor in fighting fair. Well, the second that two people start fighting each other, one of them is going to win because it's unfair. One of them has more experience than the other. It's already unfair. And both players they're working with the same rules. All right, that's as much as I'll go into that. Let's get into a match so we can start talking about the PvP in this game. All right, so in this game, it's always someone's turn to attack and someone's turn to defend. Now, when it's someone's turn to attack and you attack, when it's not your turn, they are going to have advantage. It's just like how fighting games are. When it's your turn to attack, they block your combo, and then they have priority on attacking you, so they get to attack you, and you have to defend. It's that same exact concept. So, mercenaries, they usually get the priority to attack first, but in this scenario, we get to attack first. Now, that was my turn. Now it's his turn to attack and my turn to defend. So that was his attack. Now he has to defend, and it's back to my turn. So he defended. Now it's his turn to attack. He misses. My turn. And now it's back to him again. But you see what I'm talking about here. This is the way that you play the game. You don't just attack when it's not your turn. And this is also a big part of the reason people like this game, is because how it feels like this. Now, I'll speak for him a little bit. One of the biggest mistakes this guy is making, a lot of people do this, he's using one weapon. The sword and shield is 10 times better at fighting my character than the hammer merc here. And he should have realized this, like, long ago. That he's not going to be able to get anywhere. But he likely doesn't even have that other weapon equipped. But that's a huge thing. Use both of your weapons. You're nerfing your character. And so now all we are wanting to do is maintain our health bar and just keep up with our damage lead. We just keep on defending perfectly, as best as we can defend. We'll never die if we defend correctly. And this goes for all the classes. With rogues, with Shadow Strix, you have to, like, the attack and defense sequence is like super fast, happens all the time. And I'll look at a wizard fight here in a second, or a sorcerer. I always call him a Wiztardian. But yeah, I mean, this class just doesn't have, with the hammer version, terrible versus the way my setup is.
Dude.
But yeah, throughout this whole fight, he was only really able to get one real hit in. And also, I mean, the gear difference, it's not, when you're playing correctly like this, it's not a huge issue. So now let's look at another thing that's super important. That's our dodges. Against certain matchups, it's even more important, like Sorcerer or even Seer, the caster Seer. When we're on top of a Sorcerer, when they dodge, you have to get value out of your dodge. But this is the case with every single fight. You need to not double dodge so that they're ahead of you in dodges. You need to always be even or have an advantage. That being said, and since we're on the topic, elusive is one of the best affixes in the game. Reducing your dodge energy use by like 20%. That is crazy. That will allow you to... You will always be even and you can even be ahead in dodges. Now, if you notice, a lot of times in fights, even in your own fights or other people that you're seeing, a lot of the damage will be dealt based on how the dodges were used. It's one of the most important things in the game.
Dude.
You absolutely have to get value out of your dodge. It has to do something. But the goal is to not be behind in dodges. That's what's most important. So when I'm getting on top of these sorcerers, I must, especially in the matchups, I must stay with them. And I respond to their dodges. This guy is having the time of his life. Alright, so there's two more things extremely important we need to talk about. And that's, you need to not be afraid to reset the fight. You do not have to commit to fights in this game. That's one of the craziest things about this game is it's extremely easy to prolong fights, to avoid fights, to back out of fights. Extremely easy. Much easier than a lot of other PvP games. Just with how all the dodges are and the movement. Now, against Black Arrows, you have to take a specific fight with them. And this guy, he's getting too much value out of everything, and I'm getting zero value. I don't want to fight him here anymore. I'm looking for a situation, I'm looking for an opportunity where I can get some kind of a lead here. And if I don't get a lead, if I don't get an advantage, if I don't get some kind of, you know, unfair opportunity, I don't even want to fight him. But yeah, one of the most important things, resetting this fight. Keep on resetting it. Reset it 100 times if you have to. We still have like 16 minutes left in this match. Reset it the entire 16 minutes if you have to. If that's what it takes to get, you know, the opportunity to kill this guy. Now, Black Arrow is like one of the only matchups where I need to find more favorable odds. It's just an annoying class. But you'll see during this fight, though, he's destroying me, really. He's got everything. He's getting more and more confident as he fights me. Now, I'm hoping he's going to commit to thinking that I'm going to keep running away and then he'll dash down there. He decides not to. So I'm going to take that opportunity to, you know, just go out of there. He wants to chase me, though. He knows I've got full purple on. And for a second, I was thinking he was just going to give up on me, but he's not. He comes back and keeps on chasing me. Now, he's dealing so much damage. What am I going to do here? I have to keep on looking for and resetting the fight until I find some kind of favorable odds. I have to. Now, I always like playing in these air vents. If I get the opportunity to, I'm going to try it. But he may have seen one of my videos, and he doesn't go up there. So anyway, the fight hard resets, and here he comes again. He's putting a bomb down. He wants me to dash over to him. I don't want to play on his terms. And he's hitting these jump shots. I'm finding out all kinds of cool stuff about the Black Arrow. Being able to hit those shots, it didn't, like, from my perspective, his bow wasn't over the thing, so I wasn't going to get hit, but I do. And if things like that don't land, reset again. If I can't start the fight with a lead, I'm not fighting. That is how you want to do it. And by the time I fight him, it's going to look like it was nearly unfair. It was... I attacked him from above. I got my hook on him, and then he dodged the correct way. And that's it. That guy was tilting to fight. The black arrows are tilting to fight. I have to laugh. I have to emote like that. I have to. That sucked. But that's what it takes sometimes. Now, if I were to stand, you know, just go toe to toe with him anyway, he probably would have just diffed me, because I'm fighting outside of what I can do, outside of the strength that I have. Fighting where he's strong and I'm weak. That's the thing you do not want to do. But yeah, I reset that fight like 4 or 5 times, and that, whatever it takes, do it. Now let's look at another thing that's super important. One more thing is super important. When you're fighting someone, you need to know what abilities they have, especially before you fully commit to them. If you can find out what abilities they have, then you won't experience, oh, he has that ability, and then die to it. You won't experience that. You'll be able to predict what ability is going to happen, and you'll be able to play against that. It'll be much easier. Now, very quickly, it's just the same old Seers that everyone's playing. But just like with the sorcerers, you need to use your dodges, get value out of your dodges, be even in dodges. And I have Stoic, by the way, or Tenacious, whatever it is that heals me when I get below 30%. And I'm aware of this. One of the main reasons I take that is for these kind of matchups where I have to, like, super all in them, like big sorcerers or seers. And this seer, he killed another purple guy, another full purple. Anyway, I hope you guys were able to hear what I'm saying. I hope I was able to deliver that message to you okay. Sorry if you watched the video and then it started making that cool noise in the middle of it. Sucks, man. I was about to get off and go to bed, and then I see someone commented, luckily, hey, there's your video's cursed. Anyway, I'll have a Withered Knight video coming up pretty soon. I played a match with the Withered Knight buffs. When you saw me kill the archer, that was thanks to that Withered Knight buff. The second that I got into the match, I started playing with it because I read it gave you more range. Can't even believe that it's like that. I can't even believe that. That's such a huge buff. Hopefully everyone is underwhelmed by it and then they just buff them again. That would be insane. It's a huge difference, though. That was like one of the only matchups that's annoying to fight, but that helped a lot. One more thing for anyone that stayed. You want to look at all the variables in the game, like monsters, those are variables. Health bar, that's a variable. Emoting, that's a variable. Everything in the game is a variable. You can do those things to manipulate. They're all a tool. Your health bar is a tool to manipulate the enemy into doing something different, acting a certain way. The first time I emoted the laugh emote at that guy was to keep him motivated to keep coming after me. You know, whether or not it did, you know, it gave him 20% more motivated to come after me, whatever. It's a tool that I'm throwing out there. You know, it's a thing to try, a thing to just a cast of your fishing pole to see if you can catch something there. Things like these are all tools that are all underused. The soul separation pill, this makes people hear that heartbeat when you hear a Shadow Strix. And it will change what people are doing. They will do something else. They'll go somewhere else. There's a million and one ways to manipulate, to use this tool. If you can start thinking about what tools do I have, even something like, there's so many things that are underused right now. The things that people consider problems, they're not problems, they're variables. They're tools that you can actually use. In this game, it's so poorly optimized that when you're fighting on a staircase, your character can't aim down when he swings for some reason. So very often, when you're fighting on the staircase, you want to fight on the low ground of the staircase. Let them fight on the high ground, and you will see they'll miss attacks. Lure someone there and fight them like that, and then watch how often they'll miss an attack. It's ridiculous. But there's so many things like that. Invisible curbs that you can hide behind if you're like a black arrow. And then they go up to hit you, not knowing that there's an invisible wall there. There's a whole bunch of them in this map. And then they find out they have to jump, and that's the difference. That literally can be the difference in you killing them or not. Anyway, I won't go too much further. That's all for this one. If you have any questions, just let me know. I'm pretty quick to get back to you. I'll see you in the next one.